Welcome to the Jordan Bumgarner Show. This is episode 2, where we talk what's relevant in the news, politics, UFOs, cryptids, whatever's cool and interesting. We also talk God, too, because I am a right-wing person. Anyway, so here we go. Here's the rundown. I'm going to give you the rundown. The reason I don't have chapter markers in my video where it tells you along the bottom of the rail there is because I'm trying to film everything in one take. I just took a single take. It was 50 minutes long and it had no sound. I should have tested the sound. Anyway, so here's the rundown. Teachers testify on training children for a UFO invasion inside the schools. Yeah. Man arrested and jailed 180 days for raping girls between the ages of 4 and 9. The Trump case, I'm going to break it down for you. And could a third party emerge from the ranks and consolidate itself in America? Besides, you got your Democrat and your Republican. Could a third party appear and be successful? So that's the rundown. There may be a little extra on the end of the show if that doesn't fill up a whole hour or close to an hour. So here we go. So I happened to be browsing on Reddit and just see what, was going on with the alien stuff, what's going on in the Congress and all that stuff. Well, I come across this lady. She's a teacher, and she was saying that in the school that she teaches in, they are training the children for a UFO invasion. Invasion, folks. That's not like E.T. is coming here to be friendly. No, that's E.T. come here to kill me. So sort of like, I guess, like maybe like a tornado or a fire drill. I mean, what would you do in a UFO invasion anyway? Their technology is so much superior. And if they have like them Star Trek beam me up Scotties, it's not like you can hide under your desk. So what do you do in a UFO invasion drill for school? Is that something we should even be doing in America? I mean, if the schools are doing that, then they need to give us more proof that there really are these beings of flesh and blood. And that also, I'm going to slip in another point here too. For 12 days straight in Peru, there has been a colony of people who have been so-called attacked, literally attacked by alien beings, and they are producing a lot of videos, a lot of pictures, a lot of film. And I watched one earlier. Has like looks like two fires are coming out on the side, and then in the middle is like a light. Well, that thing starts shooting like these chunks of light. So whatever it is, it does not use bullets. And it's attacking these people. These people are shooting at them also. And I believe I read one where they said they shot at it 400 times and it didn't hurt it. The entities also have the ability to like appear and disappear, like in and out of this reality, which would make them an interdimensional being. So they're coming from somewhere else. And that makes a lot of sense when you start thinking about biblically, like when Abraham was visited by Jesus and the two angels, like when they were on the way to destroy Sodom, right? It's like Jesus just appeared and the two angels, and they started walking towards Abraham, right? They can show up anywhere, anytime they want to, and they don't have to be announced that they're coming. Right? The Bible warns us enough that Jesus is coming back, and it warns us that the devil and his angels are going to have a massive deception at the end of time that's going to prevail on this earth. And I think that this whole UFO alien thing plays into that. If you could convince everybody you were an alien race and that you were good, and you were coming here to like rid the planet of nuclear weapons, right? What if those aliens do that? They take all the nuclear weapons away. What are people going to do? They're going to look for them for leadership, right? And what does that do? That sets it up for an antichrist type one world government and kingdom. And on that note, also at the United Nations, but this happens every year, but this year also they are meeting and about a 7-year peace treaty like spoke of in the book of Daniel and Revelation. He will enter into a covenant with many for 7 years. So I think we're on the precipice of that. That's why we see all the evil that we see in this world. And if there is any answer to this, it is Jesus before it is eternally too late. And I cannot stress that enough. Before it is eternally too late. Too late. There's just, God forbid that what I'm thinking about happen. Come to Jesus. There's nothing shameful or wrong with Jesus. He has given me everything. He's given me this show, a home, a car, everything I could ever ask for. He's given it to me. And I'm thankful. And I'd like to thank you, Lord, for that. So on another note, let's talk about the justice system for a minute here. So in Rochester, New York, a man was arrested and jailed for 180 days. Okay? What was the crime, you might ask? Oh, it was just raping girls between the ages of 4 and 9. You mean to tell me that you think you can reform that criminal in 180 days after he has raped someone between the age of 4 and 9? And it says girls plural, as in he's done it more than one time. This ain't just the first time he did it. Like, what is he doing out on the street to begin with? And you're going to release him to go do it like again after he's done it multiple times? You're going to release him for a third or a fourth time? What? What are we talking about? What are we talking about when people are coming and saying it's okay to be attracted to children sexually? What are we talking about? Minor attracted persons? You can't say the word pedophile because it's a trigger word? What are we talking about? Have we lost our minds? Do we love evil that much that we are willing to take it that far? Are you willing to take it that far? I mean, I don't want to have to go to that. I don't want to be part of this country if justice system is going to give you a smack on the hand for raping a child. That messes that child up for their whole life. And the mental damage and the suffering that the child has to go through is way more than 180 days in jail. The crime does not fit the punishment or the charge. That should be, if you do that one time, you should get at least 10 years, if not more. If you do that a second time, you should get life imprisonment, if not death. Okay? You have been warned the first time not to do that. We should not have to tell you again not to do that. We're supposed to protect our children, guys, from these people. What are we doing? Now is the time to stand up and speak. Stop letting left, if you're listening, this is not against you. Okay? This is what happened to me personally, so I'm going to leave it at this. When the left tells you to be more tolerant, be more accepting, okay, I did that. But at the same time, guys, you're compromising your morals and your values just to appease the left. They're not doing that for you. So why should we do that for them? You don't compromise what God has taught you or given you for another person. Okay? Don't. Satan is all over that. This is a battle for the soul of America. The Duck Dynasty, the old guy, Phil Robertson, I believe is his name, he wrote a book, and it's about the battle for the soul of America, and how Jesus says that we battle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, spiritual powers, principalities, spiritual wickedness, high places, rulers of darkness upon the earth. So these are those things affecting this country, literally. And you can see it too if you go back to the Old Testament when the Bible is talking about Ashtoreth or Ashtaroth, this female, I believe, deity who is like a sexual deity. And the thing that she does, her priest, they remove their genitalia. What's happening in this country? It's went so far with us that we're so far down that evil road, we're now saying it's okay for children to cut off their genitalia. That they can decide that at that age. When science, for a matter of fact, says that's not true, because the human brain isn't fully developed, I believe, until the age of 21. So how can they possibly have the faculties to decide something that will affect them for the rest of their life? Children are very like a potter's vessel. You can mold and shape their opinions, okay? And you can force them almost to accept something. I wouldn't want to be the person that forces that on a child and makes them think, choose this because it's the best way to go. Right? And even though the child doesn't agree with it inside, it won't say anything back to you because you're its parent or you're its elder, or you're the person in a position of power or an authority, but you are abusing that by doing that to that child. If anyone should stand up for anything right now, it is the parents. And it is us too that want to have children in this world. Because if we don't stand now, we will not have a free country to raise our children in. The parents should be the ultimate authority when it comes to that. And I can't say that, and it's just so crazy to me that how a court could rule 180 days after. That's probably going to damage that child for 20 years. It's probably going to take him 20 years to get over that. So, because he did that to that child, he should get 20 years in prison. If not, double that or death upon the second time at least. And that's me being loving and accepting to that person. Okay, you did it the first time. You knew it was wrong, but you shouldn't have did it. Right? You shouldn't have did it. You knew better. The devil and spirits will try to coerce you and tempt you to do some nasty, evil things. That don't mean you should do it because you get feeling a certain way. You know what's right. You know what's wrong. And we're going to get to the point, and I'm telling you this, that where so much evil has entered into this country that you're not going to be able to tell what's right from wrong. You're going to call evil good and good evil, and that's already happening with this whole celebrate P month, celebrate that. The Bible calls that a sin. And I should be able to say that word because I have freedom of speech and freedom of religion. I should be able to say that word. But you're telling me that I can't. So who is treading on whose rights here? We shouldn't have to bow or sacrifice our moral values to any government or people that are in power because they tell you so. And to be honest, the last 10 years of this country's history look identical to 1960s China. They tore the statues down there. They tore out the books. They burned books. They done all this stuff that we've done, and people want to say that communism isn't real in this country. Well, you need to wake up, because communism is real in this country. There are people in Congress, there are people in the House of Representatives that want to push through communist legislation. They want to do that. Do you understand that? Do you understand that every communist government that has ever existed upon the face of the earth has murdered, killed, and silenced people? Germany, China, Russia, the USSR, all of them have. All of them. North Korea, one of the most dangerous countries in the whole world, communist. And you people are looking at it like it's good. It is not good. Communism is bad. Mao, who was the Chinese leader, he murdered 80 million people. Murdered 80 million people, okay? He murdered them. He wrote a little book. It's called The Little Red Book. If you read the first few pages in that book, you can understand and see what's going on in this country. Like people who are funding these groups that are going and disrupting these small towns and being used for a purpose of destabilization. That is a communist war tactic. They do that. And also, you can go look at a train derailment map, or you can go to my TikTok channel and look at me, and I will point it out to you that our supply lines are being attacked, our border is being overrun. China is building military bases in Cuba and in South Africa, and 4 years ago, 3 years ago, they would have never thought about building a military base in our hemisphere. But now, for some reason, because we're just going to allow them to do it? What? That doesn't even make sense. That's like un-American, unpatriotic. Like, it's obvious that the administration is in cahoots with some other governments. It is very obvious. And you know, it's a crime and shame that Trump is being prosecuted, but why? Maybe Biden and them, it's a crime and shame that they're not being prosecuted, because at the same time this was going on with Trump, at the same time was that Hunter Biden laptop known about by the FBI. Why is that family not being prosecuted and impeached too? If the truth is there are two standards of justice. If you're a Republican, then you serve this justice. If you are a Democrat, then you get some leeway with it. And that's not right. That's never been the truth in America. It has always been a free, democratic society, and we are no longer a free, democratic society. Cancel culture, all that stuff, censorship of speech, trigger words, all that stuff are marks of a non-free, non-democratic government. Okay? That is what is happening. That is what is happening. This is a communist takeover, and we are being overran by the Chinese. If you do not understand that, that is the truth. And the Chinese don't have to do it themselves. You can pay these people that are being let out of these mental institutions, prisons, these poor people that live in Mexico, Central America, South America. You could pay them to come here and do stuff. and it wouldn't cost much at all. You could give them $5,000 or $10,000 a piece and change their life forever. And they'd come here and do it, and they would give come back, collect their money. I'm not saying that's who's doing it, though. I don't know. I'm just saying it could be that simple. Okay? So, moving on to the Trump case. Okay, this article comes from the Wall Street Journal. It's a very good article. It's interactive. It even has like little circles, and it'll put the person's head and name under the circle, and it will highlight around the circle who's involved in what and how we know. It gets a little confusing through here. This is a long read, but we're going to get some information out of this. So here we go. Trump in his orbit, the scope of Georgia's election case explained. The indictment describes calls, emails, and other efforts in a broad push to overturn the 2020 election results. And it tells you each person and how many counts they have. Okay? So it says, the Georgia indictment centers on allegations that former President Donald Trump and 18 defendants participated in a sweeping criminal enterprise to subvert the 2020 presidential election and to stay in power despite losing to Joe Biden. And it mentions here Rudy Giuliani has 13 counts, Donald Trump 13 counts, Jay Eastman 9 counts, Jay Ellis 2 counts, S. Powell 7 counts, K. Cheesebro 7 counts, Jay Clark 2 counts, R. Smith 12 counts, R. Cheeley 10 counts. And then you have political operatives, M. Meadows 2 counts, M. Roman 7 counts, C. Latham 11 counts, S. Steele 7 counts, M. Hampton 7 counts, S. Hall 7 counts, D. Schaefer 8 counts. And then people who were approached by a poll worker, S. Lee 5 counts, H. Floyd 3 counts, T. Cuddy, that's K-U-T-T-I, 3 counts. So I'm just going to draw it all in together here. Basically, they're saying that from December 2020 up until Biden was ushered into office, that they made various moves to try to get Georgia to push, find more votes, and a company named Strickland Sullivan, okay, and they're like a voting machine company, but they can go in and like look at it and tell if it's been hacked and whatever. And they're saying, and they said that Trump and Giuliani pushed this narrative, and that Giuliani even testified that it was hacked. Well, honestly, you could also say, unless you have recorded phone calls where they're telling them to, push through more votes or whatever, that you could say that he was just searching for more votes. I mean, if the margin is only just shy of 12,000 votes, that probably wouldn't be that too hard to find. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that every one of those are swing states, but also they're saying that all of those, like Sullivan Strickland was involved in every single one of those states. It's not just Georgia, it's Pennsylvania. And that Trump and his lawyers basically pushed it down, and then down lower to some Republicans, and then they got the players. They got the whole thing mapped out. Now I'm telling you, they do. It sounds kind of fishy to me, though, unless they do have recorded phone calls, like there is. Joe Biden recorded speaking to that person. If you haven't heard that, with the whole Burisma board thing, he is recorded. So, if Trump is recorded doing something like that, then yes, if he was trying to make the election fraudulent or subvert it in any way, then yes, he should have to pay for that. So should Joe Biden have to pay for selling us out to China. So that's what's going on with the whole Trump thing. And also, this is what I really think would benefit Donald Trump, is he needs to separate from the Republican Party, and he needs to start a whole new party. If I was him and I had his money, I would start a party, and I would call it the Workers' Party, right? And it would be for middle class and lower. People who don't make over like the $400,000 a year tax thing, right? And my main focus would be lower taxation, better representation in government, right? And it has to be fair. Fair representation, fair taxation, right? And that would be my main focuses. And then, like on another note, probably like the abortion and your moral things, right? Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, because we have to take those things back. If you want a free democratic society, we have to take them back. We have to get the communists out of government, guys. We have to. It's a real communist takeover, right? I just want you to see that. There's a guy who made a video one time, and it was about 1960s China. And he done a great job. Like, it showed them tearing the statues down, and he even had survivors from that place. And they were saying that America looks exactly like 1960s China. And it really does. That's what I was trying to tell you earlier. We have to stop this. We have to stand up. We have to protest. We have to speak out, whether it's just on your social media for your friends and your family to see, to just change their minds too. Movements start small, guys. They don't start big. Movements have to happen over time, right? Nothing starts big. It starts small, and it starts in grassroots, right? Grassroots movements. That's what we need, a good grassroots, free democratic, patriotic movement to move back toward the values of old America. One nation under God, indivisible, indivisible. What has happened? How did that start? They divided us. And they pitted us against each other to sit here and throw hate bombs back at each other. I hate you, I hate this, and we'll fight and we'll, do this, that, and the other. No, if you are a Democrat, I do not hate you. I love you. And I just wish, I wish for you to become a Republican, but if you choose not to, I can respect that. Because you should have the right to choose your beliefs. You should have the right to vote. Free speech. You should be able to say anything you want. You should be able to practice any religion you want. The government should have nothing to do with that. No one should be censored. No one should be censored. Also, guys, there has been a shooting in Jacksonville, Florida. 3 people of the African American race have been shot and killed. There are news reports going out that it involves a 20-year-old white man who did hate black people, and that is wrong on every note. No one should be judged upon for the color of their skin. They shouldn't be looked upon for the color of their skin, but by the character they hold. And I believe that with all my heart. So it shouldn't matter. And just because things aren't going perfect or your way does not mean that we should come together like a bunch of crazy white people and be like, free the, white rights or something. You know what I mean? That is totally unnecessary. I'm going to read you this article here. It says, the killing of 3 black people at a Dollar General store in Florida Saturday afternoon was the latest act of American gun violence motivated by racist ideology, a national scourge that federal officials have described as one of the most lethal forms of modern domestic terrorism. The fatal shootings in Jacksonville, carried out by a white man in his early 20s, who authorities say hated black people, follows deadly hate-motivated shootings at public gathering places, including a synagogue in 2018 in Pittsburgh, a Walmart in El Paso, Texas, 2019, a supermarket in Buffalo, New York in 2022. The spasms of gun violence are part of a wider history of racist terror in the United States dating back to the country's founding and stretching across more than 2 centuries. In the modern era, a violent domestic extremists are often radicalized online, according to the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security 2 years ago. A comprehensive review conducted by Joe Biden's national security team found that racially and ethnically motivated violent extremists, specifically those who promote the superiority of the white race, represented one of the most persistent and lethal threats facing the homeland. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's like the worst thing facing us at all. It's not a good thing. It's definitely a really bad one. It's probably top 5. These actors have different motivation. These actors. Do you hear that wordage? Those of you that listen to Mr. Jones might think about that for a second. The review found that many focus their violence towards the same segment or segments of the American community, whether persons of color, immigrants, Jews, Muslims, other religious minorities, women and girls, LGBTQI+ individuals, or others. Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters said at a news conference Saturday that the shooting was racially motivated and perpetrated by a maniac. That's right, a maniac. Sherry Onks, the FBI special agent in charge of the Jacksonville office, told reporters that law enforcement officials had opened a federal civil rights investigation and planned to pursue the attack as a hate crime. Just bring back the death penalty. Hate crimes are always and will always remain a top priority of the FBI because they are not only an attack on a victim, they are also meant to threaten and intimidate an entire community, Onk said, adding that the FBI would bring every resource we have to bear to bring justice to the families of the victims. Now, okay, if they can trace this back to the KKK, then yes, it was used to intimidate an entire community. That's how they done it before the civil rights movement. They would do something in a community, and if they didn't get the picture across, they'd do another thing and another thing and another thing until the people got the picture. Okay? And that's wrong. That type of oppression and power is wrong. It is evil, and I do not condone it in no way, shape, or form, and nor should you. The man who killed 11 people and wounded 7 others at the Tree of Life congregation in Squirrel Hill neighborhood of Pittsburgh on October 27th, 2018, posted incessantly on social media platforms about his hatred of Jewish people and immigrant populations. He has been sentenced to death. Good. He needs to be. The self-described white nationalist who killed 23 at a Walmart store in El Paso on August 3rd, 2019, targeted people of Mexican descent and posted an anti-immigrant screed online that just minutes before he opened fire. He has been sentenced to 90 consecutive life terms. The man who killed 10 people at a Tops Friendly Market and grocery store in Buffalo said he should shoot and kill because they were black. And he's been sentenced to life in prison. What about the Nashville shootings? What about the guy who was had the change and all that? I believe was an LGBTQI+ member, and he killed children because of his beliefs. That was in the diary, and they never released the diary to us. Why isn't that too right here? Everybody should be represented equally in the media. Just because one race has targeted another race does not mean that the children shouldn't be represented too, or the people that were targeted by a totally different type of bigotry should be represented too. Okay? It should be equal. It says the Anti-Defamation League recorded more than 6,700 incidents of white supremacist propaganda, distribution, and in-person events last year, a tally the organization characterized as an all-time high. According to a report released in March, the group found an anti-Semitic, racist, and anti-LGBTQ propaganda was reported in every state but Hawaii. Florida was the state with the 8th highest level of white supremacist activity according to the report. Well, then that means they knew that I would say that the top 10 states on that list, they should have an FBI unit specifically for that. Because in the 60s, there was an FBI unit specifically for that. And if you ever seen the movie Mississippi Burning, you know what I'm talking about. That's a really good movie, and it shows the truth upon things of this matter. I'm not going to finish reading the article. I just wanted to bring that up and also say, because, guys, pray for those families. They have lost their loved ones, have been shot in a racially motivated violent crime, and that's awful. No one should ever be have a gun pointed at them because of the color of their skin. It's wrong. And my heart goes out to you guys. Also. And guys, the last thing I want to talk about here today is going to be a big shocker. The Maricopa County Sheriff's deputy come out. They had been doing an investigation since 2012 on Obama's birth certificate. They have finished the investigation. The guy that was approached to do the microscopic work and checking out everything about the birth certificate, he has been doing it for 40 years. He did not want to hurt the president. This investigation was to clear Barack Hussein Obama's name, that his birth certificate was real and he was a United States citizen. Well, that's not the conclusion they reached. There is something wrong with his birth certificate, and so that was a conspiracy theory for a long time that he wasn't a U.S. citizen. And there also is some other things that's tied to that, like his name was Barry Soetoro. He also was raised by some other man and all this other craziness, and it has to do with communism too. I don't know how much of that is even true. But still, if he's not a United States citizen, I think you have to be to become a president. And, you know, that is the Democrats' golden boy. That is their Ronald Reagan. They're going to protect him till the end. So, I can't believe I believed it beforehand. We were all looked at as nuts and craziness, like if you believe that. But now we have been justified. The truth is hit. And that's what happens. If you lie so much, you're going to lie until the truth topples your lies. So there's no point in lying, guys. Lying is evil, and it is of the devil. So I guess that's going to be it for this weekend, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning into the show. I kind of went fast. Not everything I had planned out worked the way I had it planned. So that's going to be episode 2. And I want to welcome you back to come back for episode 3. I'm highly excited for the show and what we can accomplish here together. We maybe can start a movement, a protest, something special that will help everybody and help this country come back to the morals and values that it once had, and that we can run the communists out of the country like we once have in the past. Because communism divides, it does not unite. That's why there was a wall down the middle of Germany, and there was East Germany and West Germany. Asked anybody that ever lived there during that time if it was any fun. No, they were oppressed people. I do not want to see America, the shining light of a nation that stands on a hill, become an oppressed people who have been turned over to other gods. No, we're one nation under the almighty true one God that sits on the throne of heaven. That is who our founding fathers were talking about when they wrote the Declaration of Independence. That is who they worship. That, they wrote that for times like this. The Constitution was wrote for hard, tough times, and it's not to be silenced. It's supposed to be the most highest authority in the land when it comes to law. Like it shouldn't even be legal to make law higher than the Constitution. Yes, you can make an amendment to it, but there should not be a law that can silence free speech like censorship. That should be totally illegal. So that's the Jordan Bumgarner Show. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your weekend and a wonderful week. May God bless you with many blessings as He has bestowed on me. And also, if you don't know Jesus Christ, come to Jesus Christ and let Him be your Savior. I'm going to say a quick prayer here for you. Lord, pass by them, speak to their heart like you did me. In Jesus' name I ask this thing. Amen. And if the Lord comes and speaks to you, you accept Him and you let Him into your heart. And reach out to a Christian community or someone in need. And if you need to reach out to me as well, you can reach out to me on my TikTok or on my YouTube, even in the comments here. And if it needs to be talking a little more privately or anything, I can share with you an email address as well. But you can DM me at Jordan Bumgarner55 on TikTok if you have any questions. And we welcome you to the family. And we thank you for accepting our Lord Jesus Christ. For this life is really all about Him. And though I made the most of my life all about me, I'd like to make up for Him. How about you? Y'all have a good weekend. Thank you. Tune in again. I can't give you an exact date and time yet, but I'm probably saying maybe Wednesday. I'm going to start trying to do these like maybe let's see, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and try to have them up by around 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. So come back to us, and we'll see you for the next show. Jordan out.